Franz Kafka, The Trial. Franz Kafka's The Trial plunges readers into a world where the absurd and the bureaucratic collide, spotlighting the existential plight of Josef K. This mobile book summary offers a deep dive into Kafka's allegorical tale, where themes of helplessness against dystopian administrations unspool with maddening opacity. The relentless struggle against an inscrutable legal system that entangles K forms the core narrative, symbolizing the individual's fight for autonomy against oppressive structures. Expect to uncover the impact of public humiliation, invasions of privacy, and the facade of justice. Kafka's prescient warnings against unchecked power reflect disturbingly amid our modern-day complexities, with themes of alienation, opaque bureaucracies, and the paradox of defiance versus submission. Immerse yourself in this story and explore the resonance it holds with contemporary societal dynamics, where Kafka's nightmarish portrayal of a surveillance state continues to echo eerily true.
Bureaucracy's grip. Imagine waking up one morning to find yourself under arrest without warning or explanation, right in your own bedroom. This is the puzzling and distressing predicament of Josef K, who is detained by two strangers in his rented room. Without offering any reason for his detention, these men nonchalantly consume the breakfast meant for him, adding insult to injury. After allowing him to dress, they accompany him to his workplace at the bank, where he holds a senior position, only to humiliate him further by assigning junior employees to shadow his every move throughout the day. Seeking answers, Josef K turns to Mrs. Grubach, his landlady, hoping she might shed some light on the mysterious morning's events. Her overheard snippets of conversation reveal a complex situation, one she believes is not overly concerning. Meanwhile, K feels compelled to apologize to Miss Borsner, the young woman next door, whose privacy was inadvertently invaded during his arrest. Curiously, Miss Borsner seems more intrigued by the drama than upset by the intrusion. Their ensuing conversation grows unexpectedly intimate, culminating in an unreciprocated kiss from K, before he awkwardly departs, surprised yet somehow satisfied with his impromptu actions. Soon after, K receives notice of regular Sunday court hearings regarding his baffling case, designed to accommodate his work schedule. Though unfamiliar with the courthouse's location, he perseveres, eventually finding himself in a chaotic, overcrowded room. Here, he faces a disorganized tribunal led by a judge seemingly more interested in belittling K than administering justice. Laughter erupts when K proudly states his bank position, only for the judge to accuse him of tardiness, an allegation K refutes, blaming the court's lack of proper summons. Mounting frustration fuels K's spirited protest against the court's absurdity, drawing mixed reactions from the audience. Disheartened by the judge's sneaky attempts at communication with others, K remains undeterred until a commotion involving a woman being harassed disrupts his tirade. Despite his efforts to help, K is silenced by onlookers more amused than appalled, leaving him acutely aware of the shared allegiance of all those present. Departing the court disillusioned, K recognizes that genuine justice is unattainable within such a farcical system. He hopes his words swayed some, yet knows the process was inherently flawed and devoid of meaning from the outset. In this narrative, Kafka skillfully crafts an allegory of an individual's helpless struggle against unwieldy and unjust bureaucracy. Josef K's arbitrary arrest and the demeaning trial that follows highlight the erosion of personal autonomy within Kafka's surreal legal labyrinth. The novel's themes resonate deeply in today's world with its expanding bureaucracies and technological surveillance. These systems, often governed by algorithms and vast databases, wield immense power over access to jobs, resources, and justice, frequently in opaque and unpredictable ways. K's plight mirrors the modern citizen's confusion when confronted with such incomprehensible forces. Kafka's cautionary tale urges vigilance against entities prioritizing self-preservation over fairness, warning of the human toll exacted by unchecked authority. While defiance may uphold individual dignity, Kafka chillingly suggests that achieving true autonomy necessitates dismantling the unjust frameworks that bind us. Whipman's paradox. One evening, K on his way out of work, is drawn to a mysterious junk room by unsettling sounds. Curiosity leads him to discover the two policemen from his earlier arrest, Franz and Willem, about to be whipped by a menacing Whipman. They claim their punishment stems from K's complaints, though K insists it wasn't his intent. Willem laments the harsh realities of police life, while Franz bemoans his shame, with his bride waiting innocently below. The absurdity and cruelty of the scene disturb K, who desperately but unsuccessfully attempts to bribe the Whipman into sparing them. As Franz's agonizing cries fill the air, K, in a drastic effort to silence him, knocks Franz unconscious, worried that the commotion might draw unwanted attention from his bank co-workers. The encounter leaves a profound imprint on K's conscience, stirring thoughts about the justice system. If low-ranking officers are subject to such inhumane treatment, he ponders, what wickedness might lie within the higher echelons of authority. This traumatic event shadows K into the next day, persistently gnawing at him as he wrestles with his perceived impotence and guilt. Driven by a need for resolution, K revisits the junk room after work. There, the unnerving tableau unravels anew, Franz and Willem in the same shocking predicament. K hastily locks the door and enlists the bank's cleaning staff to manage the room's disarray, but time slipping into evening renders immediate action impractical. Amidst his guilt-ridden turmoil, he finds brief solace sitting with the cleaners, grasping at a slight reprieve from his gnawing disquiet, before finally departing home, his mind still haunted. This unsettling episode embodies layers of symbolism, weaving themes of power misuse and bureaucratic tyranny into the narrative's fabric. Kafka's surreal treatment accentuates the bewildering universe that K navigates, unsettling in its strangeness and oppressive in its absurdity. In this scene, Kafka captures K's internal struggle with guilt and the looming shadow of punishment, a recurring motif in his quest for meaning within the chaos. Despite K's earnest attempts to untangle the charges leveled against him, he remains ensnared in a web of perpetual unease, an unrelenting anticipation of inevitable condemnation. Entangled in injustice. Imagine finding yourself swept into an enigmatic legal storm where help evaporates and those who should support you become tangled in layers of bewildering self-interest. This is the uneasy predicament of Josef K, who suddenly stands defenseless against an unfathomable accusation. Alarmed by the potential shame on their family, K's uncle Carl rushes him to Dr. Holt, a lawyer whose experience and connections seem promising. Yet, as they step into Holt's sickroom under a veil of secrecy, reality doesn't weave the hopeful yarn they'd envisioned. The lawyer Holt, bedridden and frail, exudes an aura of unreliability. His assistant, Lenny, flits between rooms, an anxious but alluring presence, hinting at manipulation rather than genuine assistance. Holt presents his friend, a former court director, as proof of his stature, but their legal banter does little to guide or illuminate the murky waters Josef K is wading through. The room feels more a play of shadows than a beacon of clarity. Doubts deepen as K is inadvertently drawn to Lenny, whose propositions twist the professional into the personal. She uses the pretext of an unusual noise to lure him from the room, only to offer aid entwined with flirtations, guidance contingent upon a guilty confession that K finds abhorrent yet bizarrely irresistible. The ethical landscape grows ever murkier, conjuring suspicions of eavesdropping and ulterior motives, leaving K on the brink of exhaustion. As frustrations mount, Uncle Carl is quick to express fury over K's entanglement with Lenny, a distraction seemingly jeopardizing K's defense. But the distractions do not end there. K's professional life begins to show cracks, his attention split and focus withering under the relentless pressure of court dates and dubious consultations. Unrest in the workplace gives rise to rival ambitions, as colleagues circle like vultures over the gaps in K's resolve. Amidst this turmoil, a peculiar hope surfaces. A client primes the introduction to Titorelli, a court painter with unexpected influence. Yet this hope bears a costly price. Titorelli sketches a grim picture of a sprawling bureaucratic nightmare, a system where even apparent innocence cannot liberate K from the chains of arbitrary justice. Prone to delays and uncertainties, none of Titorelli's proposed outcomes, neither partial acquittal nor deferment, offer true relief. They merely shift the burden, leaving K open to sudden reapprehension. Instead of solutions, these legal devices solidify a cycle of limbo and stress. Amidst lively conversation, Titorelli reveals his studio's interconnectedness to the endless sprawl of court office attics. Physical space mimics the infinite procedural entrapment K fears. Tension builds as Titorelli, after offering his modest legal aid, turns the discussion toward his art, a calculated expansion of K's obligation into commercial territory. K, trapped by decorum and desperation, reluctantly agrees to the purchase, further tethering himself in a net cast by the exploiters of his misfortune. Josef K's journey highlights a terrifying gulf between individual struggle and institutional inertia. The search for clarity in aid becomes mired in exploitative dynamics where each hand reaching out seems more inclined to take than to give. The more K battles for autonomy, the more he is ensnared by those thriving on his entanglement, a chilling reflection of systems designed to perpetuate their own subsistence rather than dispense justice and clarity. Underneath these layers of calculated entanglement resides the melancholic theme of exploitation, impressions of chaos designed to deter the innocent, the labyrinthine pathways preventing access to truth. K's plight soundly echoes in our own world, where the powerless often wrestle with opaque institutions, craving agency and a clear path through the fog. His experience serves as a mirror to our society, illustrating the struggle to navigate expanses of decisions made on behalf of the few at the expense of the many. K's story remains a poignant reminder of the need for integrity and transparency amidst the complexities of power and helplessness. Illusion of justice. Josef K's journey is a poignant critique of a justice system veiled in bureaucracy and manipulation. Dissatisfied with his lawyer Huld's inability to make progress, K decides to dismiss him. He visits Huld to deliver this decision personally, only to find himself in an unsettling scenario. In the lawyer's home, K meets Block, a fellow defendant entangled in a trial, who, while pretending loyalty to Huld, secretly seeks legal assistance elsewhere. This encounter reveals the labyrinthine nature of the system, where desperation leads to subterfuge rather than resolution. Huld, despite his ingrained connections and claims of privilege, offers nothing substantial to help K, who finds Huld's persistent pleas humiliating. Huld attempts to demonstrate K's privileged position through a demeaning display involving Block, who, in fear and desperation, prostrates himself before the lawyer. This grotesque spectacle forces K to comprehend that the judicial system's purported aid is a facade for exploitation. Block's groveling, met with scant information about his bleak case status, underscores the mockery of a system divorced from justice. K's encounters reflect the tragic irony that self-preservation in such systems often demands compliance and self-effacement. The story's climax is a grim acceptance of an unjust fate. On his last day, K is led to a quarry by two men who fulfill the Kafkaesque fate with a ritualistic execution. In his final moments, K is overwhelmed by the indignity of his death rather than its finality. His demise, akin to that of a condemned animal, serves as a metaphor for the death of personal agency and dignity. The narrative paints a striking picture of how opaque, impersonal institutions, be they judicial, corporate, or governmental, can strip individuals of their identity and integrity. Huld's exertion of power over Block and K illustrates how such entities thrive on complicity and submission, masking exploitation as assistance. The futility of K's struggle reveals the broader existential plight faced by those trapped in systems riddled with complexity yet devoid of transparency. As K surrenders to his fate, he embodies the internal death preceding the physical, whereby navigating an unfeeling bureaucracy, one's identity is eclipsed, leaving in its wake a hollow conformity. Though resistance to such systems seems daunting, the narrative insinuates that meaningful change arises from confronting collective injustice rather than seeking personal escape. K's resignation starkly reminds us that clear injustice rarely lends itself to straightforward solutions. The profound message lies in recognizing that true reform requires shattering the illusions that sustain apathy and systemic complicity.
Kafka's The Trial leaves a lasting impression of futility and resignation as Josef K's battle against a mystifying judicial system reaches a haunting conclusion. As the summary unfolds, readers grasp the stark realities of Kafka's universe, an individual's desperate struggle against an unfair and convoluted bureaucracy that reflects back as a mirror of our own societal struggles. Despite K's efforts and defiance, he confronts an environment where transparency and justice remain tantalizingly out of reach. Kafka's timeless warning about institutional excess and loss of individuality resonates profoundly in today's technologically advanced age, where systems often place self-preservation above accountability. The alienation and exploitation K experiences underscore how reform, not mere survival, is essential to preserving dignity and autonomy. This gripping story remains a powerful reminder of our need to scrutinize the institutions that govern our lives and ensure they serve justice rather than perpetuate themselves.